All right, folks, as we move on and smile this morning, taking an in-depth look into Jamaica's political landscape. Beverley Manley's Out There Without a Fear premiered yesterday and is already creating a buzz on social media. She joins us now with documentarian Joel Simone Poe, is it? Right. Not Rowe.
And Beverley Manley Uncensored.
Uncensored.
Yes.
Good morning, sister.
Good morning. Good morning.
Great to see you.
It's great.
Fantastic to see you.
Great to be back in the studio.
Yeah, man.
Yes.
I told you what my first question was. Having seen the first episode, you still feisty?
All I can tell you, my family and friends who know me well will be delighted to hear that question. Because I'm being told that every day. Yes. Not only feisty, but feisty.
Yeah, which is incredible.
And outspoken.
Well, uncensored.
Yes.
Uncensored kind of means that no holds barred. But was there anything that was off limits? Did
Of course.
say to Silmo, don't go there?
Of course. I would say about 95% was uncensored. But because of the life I've lived, of course, there was some stuff that I wasn't going to say.
Yeah.
As my mother would say, take it to my grave.
Yeah. Well, I'm asking you to say it now.
I know you're not. Simone, how you work with this man? I knew that's what you're shaping up for, but guess what? I'm an experienced broadcaster. You can't catch me.
Try to trick you. You clearly were not afraid of any feedback, any backlash, any... Tell me why this project was important for you at this point in your life.
All right, I like the way you put that, because you said clearly I was not afraid. And I prepared myself, having lived a public life where I was judged, sometimes really critically in judgment. I said, well, prepare yourself. If you put yourself out there, what is going to happen is you're going to have people who love it and people who whatever, And I said, I'm ready for that, because I think that's what I've done is for what you'd call the greater good. Because when you allow yourself to be vulnerable, and I know you understand this, and you can just open up and be authentic and tell what is your truth, not the truth, my truth, then people, I find, learn from it.
You speak on my language.
I know.
You speak on my language. Joel, I love that you did this. The Out There Without Fear was your first project. Yeah. This one, no. Tell me about conceptualizing this and coming to this icon as a young woman. Obviously, you're a trailblazer, right? 30 under 30, lots of awards, you're making your name. But, I mean, she is who she is. Was there any fear, any trepidation in going to her, and how did you conceptualize this project? Why was this a project for now?
Thank you. Well, it's very fitting that it's releasing on near Emancipation Day, and it's really for young people my age. I'm 24, and before doing this research to do this documentary, I did not understand the 70s, and I learned a lot in the process. And the reason why that this documentary needed to be made is that we need to be reflecting on where Jamaica has come from since being emancipated from mental slavery and where we're going next. So it's uncensored in that Beverley comments on both the past in a revealing way and the future. She says what's not good now. And we all need to be thinking about that in Emancipendence season, Yeah.
Miss Bev, there was something you said about your mom that hit home to me. My mom was exactly the same thing. Unfortunately for me, I did not ask for forgiveness. But you said it helped, even though you were kind of saying your mom was a little rough. And it's the same way I feel.
Freed me up, Neville. It freed me up. And you know what is great? As Sim will tell you, you can still ask for forgiveness. Just write a letter, then destroy it, whatever. You see, because the way forgiveness works for me and in the transformation workshops that I do is that you accept responsibility, full responsibility, 100, for whatever is happening in your life. And that is huge. In other words, I can't blame my mother anymore. It's how I received my mother. So, you have this thing of a fact, and then you have the interpretation that goes with it. And they say that all misery is in interpretation. And many human beings live inside of an interpretation without even knowing it.
Interesting.
So if I say my mother beat me at 5, that's a fact. But if I then say she beat me because she didn't love me,
That's an interpretation.
Or she lied to my sisters. That's interpretation.
Yeah.
So what I live with all my life is that my mother doesn't really love me. So you say, hi, Beverly, how is your mother? I say, my mother doesn't love me.
Yeah.
But when the truth is that she, too, was operating within her own prison.
Of course. Of course.
In raising you, because when you think about it, your stories are quite similar.
Yes,
right?
yes.
Because when you first got married, they were saying, who is this girl? Come marry this, auspicious
let me
man.
tell
What
you
is
how
her
it
last
was.
name? Where's her father?
You know the shortened version of that? Who is her father?
Who is her father?
Michael can have anybody he wants. Who is her father?
Yeah. Yeah.
If you had to put the finger on one thing that you are, like your mom, what was it?
Courage.
What is it?
Courage. The same face that in.
But she told you that's what she was raising you to be.
And when I said, I forgive myself, that's how I put it, because that's the only person to forgive. I forgive myself for thinking about you in that way all these years and didn't realize it was running my life. Everything I did, if I was here at JBC, no matter what was happening, Mama had to do something with it because our personalities clashed from day one.
Yeah.
You know?
Wow.
You know, when writing the story, it was very important to me to include Beverly's childhood because not only was it humble beginnings, but she had faced so many challenges. And so in the next episode in part 2, which comes out on Sunday, you're going to see all that she accomplished. And it becomes very powerful knowing the struggles that she faced as a young person, especially with her relationship with her mom. And I think it's very inspiring for all Jamaicans to know that actually really anything is possible. And that's part of Beverly's message.
Yeah. And also the fact that many of us are struggling with the relationship with our parents, your age, my age, lots of people still having issues, and it helps us to kind of unpack a lot of the issues we have. But even
and Simone, you know, it is said that the one relationship you must make sure that you really resolve is the one with your parents.
Yeah.
And certainly in the case of girls with their mothers.
Yeah.
I don't think that book has been written yet, you know.
Or you
That
need to do it.
that mother-daughter thing is so, I don't know if there's even a word.
Yeah.
Even mother-son, you know. Just
Mother-son.
generally.
Miss
It's a
Bev,
big deal.
Yes, sir.
you spoke from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m. with this gentleman. Won't you talk about it for so long, please?
Oh, you mean Michael?
Yeah, from 8 in the night to 6 the next morning.
I take it you have been in love.
Several times.
See her here.
Yes.
No, it's an interesting question because Michael really wooed me. And it's not just me, I think he did. Anybody he fell in love with, he wooed. And I can only speak for myself here. But I don't know, we just went out to dinner and came back and couldn't stop chatting. Like we were just eating of each other, you know. And I was just awed by the level of his intellect. One of the things he told me, he had read every book that was written, all the classics. By the time he was 18, I was just starting.
Wow.
I said, what? Because he didn't need to, I mean, he just had it. He was just an extraordinarily bright man, charismatic, and looking good at age 45.
Yes.
So the 18 years between us meant nothing to me, although my mother warned me. Come back to mommy, she said, you're going, now we grew up PNP, right? So she said, I like the man, I really like him, but Beverly, he's 18 years older than you. He has been married 3 times. You are mad. You can't do that. But then I did it.
Love conquers all, right?
Love conquers all.
Starry-eyed.
And I must say that both marriages have been very blessed.
Yeah.
Although
Very
you
happy.
mentioned some things last night that really, I was like, oh my gosh. You know, the things that you had to kind of rest with and wrestle with and accept, and which you did, that other people would say, this woman is crazy. But this was your life. And
It was my life.
Right.
It
Your
was
decision.
my life. And every time I would say, but where have I been placed here? That's the question I always asked.
Yeah.
It must be for a reason.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what is the greater good that can come out of it? Is it to be involved in a maternity leave law, a minimum wage law? Because I was always aware of the marginalized, always.
Yeah.
My father had a full-time job as a station master, and you know, so we were never hungry or anything, because his pay came every week, but of course it was very small pay.
Yeah.
But what helped us, my mother, was everything. She could do
come back to mommy
everything.
again, eh?
So
Same
like
way.
my mother. Broadcaster, author, model. If you had to pick one, go back then, which one would you do?
Well, you know how I look at it? One of the things I think we talked about in feminist theory is that you don't have to have an either or.
That's right.
There was a world, where we didn't have an either or. So what I do, I integrate everything. So I'm talking to you now and I'm thinking about the next book I'm writing. Everything is everything. It all comes together.
We are no one.
So I'm very fortunate in that way.
Joel,
Amazing.
tell me how this plays out now. Yesterday was the first tranche. How many episodes are
There are 4 episodes. So next week is episode 2. And just as Beverley was talking about being her role in making maternity leave, etc., it's really critical that Beverley was a participant in creating the Jamaica that we have today, and a keen eyewitness with other important decision makers. So she's an essential perspective to have on the 70s in Jamaica. And as the filmmakers, myself and Intelligent, the producing company, we're really excited to have documented this perspective because it's essential.
Yeah. Joel, you still have a chance to put me in this. don't try to leave.
Oh, I
I'm
have
not
something
leaving
else
you.
that's
No,
very
leave me
important.
out. No, leave me out. Leave me out.
I was just thinking the other day, there's so many documentaries on Michael Manley.
Right?
Beverley
Right?
has her book, which has been extremely important. But the visual aspect, the visual documentation, that's how you reach young people.
Yeah.
Right? So this documentary on Beverley Manley is her story. Her story.
In her
history,
words,
her
from
story.
her
Yes.
own mouth.
Good work.
So-
Yeah.
Good work.
Powerful.
I know you need to go to a break, and I know what that means, but I just want to say to any young person listening right now, especially a young woman, don't remain invisible. We don't even know enough yet about the Garvey wives, especially second wife. We don't know. We know a little tips, but for years and in history, women have remained invisible.
Yeah.
It's time to make ourselves visible, and nobody's going to do it for us.
Thanks for sharing.
True.
I love you.
I love
God.
you
Good to
too.
see. Good to see.
And I don't know how Simone comes every morning beside you.
Oh, the
but-
grace of God,
Uh,
Sister
you said
Bev,
by the grace of God.
No, she loved me too. He's a very sympathetic political veteran, they say. Beverley Manley, documentarian, Joel, Simone, Paul. Fantastic that you guys were able to come and see us
Thank
this
you.
morning.
Very nice.
God bless you.
Coming up next, we hear how this new and exciting play is redefining love.
Yes, Sita.
Oh, go away.
We're redefining
I'm leaving
love.
with Miss Bev and Joel, honestly. Can we go?
And you can't do without me.
I'm just gonna leave you.